Hello, I'd like to welcome you to Hard Copy, coming to you from our studios in Abuja. On Hard Copy, we speak to the people behind the news and ask the most important questions. I'm Terry Ikumi. Now, Nigeria is a federation with 3 tiers of governments. There's a federal, state, and local. But it appears local governments are struggling to exist when they are constitutionally the 3rd tier of government and the closest to the people. In fact, we have 774 of them. Now, local governments were essentially created to deliver services at the grassroots and bring governance closer to the people, serving as the most effective avenue for delivering basic goods and services to local communities. But this clearly hasn't entirely been the case, despite constitutional provisions that specify the powers of each level of government in Nigeria. It appears local governments are still suffering from lack of autonomy. And one may say that autonomy is one of the prerequisites for a smooth running of the local government system. The Federal Accounts Allocation Committee shares money to federal, state, and local governments to run the business of governance. But through the State-Local Governments Joint Account provided for by the 1999 Constitution, states control funds allocated to local councils. Now let's backtrack to the 1976 reform of local governments, which made local governments the 3rd tier of administration, and then the 1979 Constitution, which strengthened their financial autonomy for optimum performance, such that funds were set aside then for local governments from the Federation account. Unfortunately, in spite of all these constitutional and financial provisions, local governments are still unduly controlled by state governments. Some analysts say that this is because the attempt by the reform of the 1976 Constitution to accord financial autonomy to local government was undermined by the 1999 Constitution through the introduction of the State Joint Local Government Account, which has made the local governments mere appendages of various state governments. So imagine neglecting 774 local governments and still expecting development at the grassroots. On Hard Copy tonight, we are focusing on the issue of local government autonomy. My guest is the president of the Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees, Mr. Ibrahim Khalil, or better still, Comrade Ibrahim Khalil. Please welcome to Hard Copy.
Thank you very much.
Now, let's look at how effective local government administration has been over the years before and after the 1999 Constitution.
Yeah. Well, in your little preamble, I can rightly say you have captured it all. Local government from 1976, witnessed a serious reform, which is popularly known as the Suki reforms of 1976, which was championed by the then military administration under the military head of state, General Olusegun Obasanjo. Under that reform, the reform put local government as a 3rd tier of government in our governance structure, and with a degree of autonomy financially, democratically, and administratively. And from 1976, we witnessed a lot of progress in terms of inclusiveness in governance in Nigeria, because this tier of government actually bridged the gap in governance as a result of the reform of 1976, and thereby taking the governance to the doorsteps of our communities. And by that, an inclusive arrangement is already in place, where every segment of Nigeria, considering the diversity of Nigeria, was given a sort of pre-hand to operate at the level of community level. And they were given the opportunity to govern themselves in a way and manner probably only themselves can understand.
I'd like us to look at how effective they have been over the years. Do you think they were more effective before the 1999 Constitution or after, basically because it was the 1999 Constitution that created the joint account system, and which is another topic, a subtopic we will dwell on eventually. But let's look at the effectiveness.
Yeah, the issue of local government, sincerely speaking, before 1976 reform, after 1976 reform, and up to 1999, when the current dispensation came into power, the system of local government is the only system in Nigeria that suffered a lot of experiments. And this experiment put the system at a very disadvantageous situation. For instance, before 1976, what we had was what do you call it, native authority system. Under native authority system, the local governance was very, very effective.
So do you think it's less effective now than it was then?
It's much, much less effective because of the fact that most of the government of the state encroach into the exclusive preserves of local government, even when the Constitution of 1999 clearly provided for the jurisdiction between, or demarcation between state and local government. But they usurp the functions of local government politically, administratively, and also financially.